This happened a few months ago. I was 32, feeling lost after my breakup. I needed a distraction. I grabbed my camera and started exploring abandoned homes in my small town. These places held stories, and I wanted to find them. One Saturday, I entered my favorite house. The wooden door creaked as it opened. Dust danced in the air, and I inhaled the musty smell. I snapped pictures, feeling the excitement rush through me. But then I heard it. It was faint at first, but unmistakable. A child's laughter. Just my mind playing tricks, I thought. I shook it off and kept taking photos. I wanted to capture the hidden beauty of the place. I went back the next week. The door I had left wide open was closed. An uneasy chill ran down my spine as I pushed it open. I stepped inside and felt everything was the same, yet something had shifted. I walked slowly upstairs, my heart racing. That's when I caught a glimpse of movement in my side vision. I turned, but nothing was there. My legs felt heavy, but I kept moving. Days passed and I found myself back there again. I stopped in the hallway, my breath hitching. On the floor lay a wooden toy soldier. I picked it up. I had never seen it before. Holding it made my skin tingle. I turned slowly, feeling the house watching me. I could hear whispering, words I couldn't quite understand. It felt wrong. But my curiosity pulled me deeper inside. On my last visit, everything intensified. Shadows flickered in the living room. Laughter filled the air like a party of kids having fun. I stepped back, a pit forming in my stomach. As I turned to leave, I saw it. At the end of the hallway stood a figure. I couldn't see any details, but I felt drawn to it. I stammered, "Is anyone there?" But silence swallowed my words. I took a step back, my instinct screaming at me to run. Then the figure was gone. I blinked and it vanished. I rushed outside, heart pounding. Glancing back, the house looked as it always had. The windows were dark, the air was still. But I knew something was there, hidden in the walls. I didn't want to go back after that. But I couldn't shake the feeling I had experienced something real. I didn't know what it was. I think about that house often. I still hear the laughter in my dreams sometimes. It calls to me. I don't know if I'll return. The memory haunts me. All I know is whatever resides there is waiting. And it hasn't forgotten me. I tried to distract myself after that last visit. I threw myself into work, met with friends, anything to forget the house and what I felt inside it. But I couldn't shake the nagging curiosity. I kept thinking about the laughter, the whispers, and that figure at the end of the hallway. It felt like it was calling me back. One afternoon, the sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows. I found myself parked in front of the house again, my heart hammering in my chest. I knew I should leave, but my legs moved on their own. I took a deep breath and stepped out of the car. The door was still ajar, as if inviting me in. I hesitated for a moment, then pushed it open. The familiar smell of dust filled my lungs, but this time, the air felt thicker. I was being watched. The thrill of excitement mixed with dread churned in my stomach. Once inside, I took a moment to listen. No laughter, no whispers. Just the silence of the house swallowing my every breath. I crept through the hallway, my camera ready. I wanted to document everything, just in case things went wrong. As I moved deeper inside, I noticed new things. Drawings on the wall, faded and peeling. They looked like childish sketches of monsters and houses. My heart raced as I traced my fingers over them. Why hadn't I seen these before? Something felt off. A new layer of panic seeped into my mind. Then, I heard it. A distant giggle echoing from upstairs. My skin prickled. I wanted to run, but my feet felt glued to the floor. I had to know what was up there. I climbed the staircase, each creak sounding like a warning. At the top, the hallway stretched out before me. The laughter grew louder, mixed with voices, children's voices. I turned to the first room I saw. The door was slightly ajar, so I pushed it open. Inside, I saw nothing unusual. Just a dusty bedroom with faded curtains. Yet the laughter was still there, clearer now, swirling around me like invisible hands. Suddenly, A loud crash resonated from the end of the hall. I jumped, my heart racing. It sounded like something had fallen. I cautiously moved toward the sound, each step slower than the last. The closer I got, the more the laughter faded, replaced by a soft humming. In the last room I gasped. A small rocking chair sat in the corner, moving as if someone just left it. I stepped closer, and that's when I saw it. A small, frayed doll lying on the floor. It was the same one I saw in the drawings on the wall. As I picked it up, the air grew colder around me. That's when I felt it, a presence creeping behind me. I froze, instinctively turning. This time I didn't see a figure. Instead I felt a rush of cold air, like someone had just walked past me. My breath caught in my throat. I turned to flee, but the door slammed shut. Panic surged through me. I pounded on the door, desperate to escape, but I could hear the laughter returning. It surrounded me, echoing off the walls like a twisted symphony. I trembled as I jammed my shoulder against the door. Then everything went dark. The lights flickered out, plunging me into pitch blackness. My heart raced as I felt my way back to where I thought the door was. I can't explain why I did it, but I whispered, "Let me out." And in that suffocating silence, something whispered back. I couldn't understand the words, but the tone felt mocking, like it knew I was trapped. My mind screamed for me to escape, but all I could do was wait in the dark, feeling the presence press close. I don't know how long I stayed in the dark, but every passing second felt like an eternity. The whispers faded into a deep silence, leaving just the hollow sound of my own breathing. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't find my voice. Every muscle in my body tensed and my mind raced, searching for an escape. Just then, the door creaked open, the dim light from the hallway spilling into the room. Relief washed over me. I dashed forward, not waiting to see if someone, or something, stood there. The moment I crossed the threshold, I felt a hand grasp my arm. I stumbled back, shock electric in my veins. But it was just the air, thick and heavy, as if the house itself was closing in around me. I glanced back, expecting to see a ghost, an entity formed from the laughter. But there was nothing. Only shadows danced on the walls. I took a tentative step into the hallway. The laughter was gone, replaced by that unnerving humming from before. It seemed to be guiding me, pulling me along like a string tugging at my core. I fought it, clenching my fists, but curiosity tugged harder than fear. I crept toward the source, a small office at the end of the hall. The door was slightly ajar, just like before. I pushed it open and gasped at what I saw. The walls were covered in photographs, old and worn, faces smiling frozen in time. Each picture was the same child, holding that same frayed doll, mirroring the one I found earlier. Panic crashed down on me as I realized I was standing in the same room as one of those children. I backed away slowly, scanning the room for any sign of life. That's when I noticed something new on the desk. A journal, its pages yellowed with age. My heart raced as I lifted it. The last entry read, "The laughter won't stop. It wants us to play. It'll take you if you don't leave." As chills crawled down my spine, I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps behind me. Heavy and slow they approached. My mind screamed at me to run, but my feet wouldn't move. I felt a sense of dread washing over me, holding me in place like a vice. Then, out of nowhere, the humming intensified, wrapping around me, filling my ears. The footsteps stopped. I dared to glance back, fear gripping my throat. In the doorway stood a figure, shrouded in shadows. I couldn't make out any features, but I felt those eyes on me, burning into my soul. My instincts kicked in, and I bolted from the room. Down the hall, the familiar chaos began. Doors slammed behind me one after the other, as if the house was trying to keep me inside. I ran for the stairs, heart pounding like a drum, but I could feel the coldness of the presence chasing me. I surged down the steps, the memories of laughter now piercing my eardrums. As I reached the bottom, I threw myself at the front door. It swung wide open and I raced outside, gasping for fresh air. I stumbled onto the porch, shaking. I glanced back at the house, dread settling in my stomach. That's when I realized I wasn't alone. In the yard, children gathered, their smiles wide, their eyes fixated on me, as if waiting for me to join them. I turned to flee, my heart filled with an overwhelming sense of wrongness. They were beckoning, and I knew that if I didn't escape now, I might never leave at all. I took off down the path, my mind racing faster than my feet. The children's laughter trailed behind me, echoing in my ears like a haunting melody. I barely glanced back as I sprinted toward the end of the yard, where the trees loomed like dark sentinels. Each tree felt like a barrier between me and the nightmare I had just escaped. I stumbled into the woods, branches snagging at my clothes. My breath came in ragged gasps as I pushed through the underbrush, desperate to put as much distance between myself and that house as possible. The further I got, the more I could hear the laughter fade, swallowed by the silence of the forest. I felt a flicker of relief, but it didn't last long. As the laughter faded, something else replaced it. A low, ominous hum, similar to the one that had filled the office. It was unsettling, a constant reminder that whatever darkness resided in the house wasn't finished with me yet. I glanced over my shoulder, expecting to see shadows moving. Instead, the woods appeared normal, still and silent. I pressed on, hoping to find a road or someone who could help me. Anything to break this sense of isolation, but the trees seemed endless, their gnarled branches closing in. I felt the weight of an unseen presence lurking nearby. Every rustle of leaves sent adrenaline coursing through me. I stopped to catch my breath, my eyes darting around, searching for any sign of movement. Then I saw it. A flash of white caught my eye between the trees, a glimpse of that same doll. It was lying amongst the roots of a tree, its fabric dirty and frayed, just like the one in the house. My stomach twisted. How did it get here? Against my better judgment, I approached it. There was something magnetizing about the doll, and I felt drawn to it, despite the terror it conjured. I kneeled to pick it up, hoping to find some clue or a connection to what had just happened. As soon as my fingers brushed the fabric, I heard footsteps again. They were close this time, almost right behind me. I jumped to my feet, panic clawing at my throat, and turned. No one was there. Just the trees, watching. My heart raced as I turned to run, but that's when I saw them again. Faint figures in the distance, the same children from before. They stood in a half circle, their smiling faces now twisted with something darker, something menacing. They didn't move, but their eyes seemed to bore into me, waiting for me to make a choice. I could feel their anticipation. It suffocated me. Ignoring the terror that bubbled up inside, I broke into a run in the opposite direction. The trees blurred as I pushed deeper into the woods. The hum turned into a roar, drowning out my thoughts and urging me forward. Then I heard it again, a whisper. Not the children, but something far older, coated with gravel and age. Stay with us. I stumbled, losing my footing. As I looked up, I caught a glimpse of the house through the canopy of leaves, its dark silhouette looming like a predator. It was calling me back, the air thick with desperation. I needed to keep running. I needed to escape whatever they wanted from me, whatever they were. I dashed off the path, feeling the weight of their eyes on my back. But every step felt heavier, as if the ground itself was trying to pull me down. Then everything went dark. I woke up lying on the forest floor, disoriented. My head throbbed, and the taste of moss filled my mouth. I sat up slowly, feeling the damp earth beneath me and the cold air wrapping around my skin. The world around me was muted, shadows stretching across the ground, but no sound disturbed the stillness. I rubbed my eyes and blinked against the light that filtered through the leaves. The hum was gone, replaced by an eerie silence. I glanced around, heart racing. Had I lost them? Had I escaped? But no, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I pushed to my feet, shaking off the remnants of sleep. That whisper, "Stay with us," played in my mind like a broken record. I couldn't let it pull me back down. I forced myself to move, each step slow and calculated as I began to retrace my path. That's when I noticed the trees around me. Their bark was covered in strange symbols, carved deep as if something had etched them in with great care. The symbols radiated an uncanny energy, and I felt an unsettling sense of familiarity, as if I had seen them before. Just as I was leaning closer to examine them, a sudden noise broke the silence. A branch snapped behind me. I whirled around, heart pounding. I scanned the woods, but there was nothing. Just the trees. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw movement. Something darting between the trunks. I took a hesitant step toward it, instinct screaming at me to flee. But curiosity overrode my fear, and I pressed forward. I pushed through the underbrush and stumbled into a small clearing. In the center, a circle of stones surrounded a pit, dark and wet. The air was thick with a bitter, metallic smell like rust. A chill ran down my spine. I wanted to turn back, but I was drawn in. That's when I saw her, a girl, her head down, sitting cross-legged in the middle of the circle. She wore a tattered dress that hung from her thin frame. Long, tangled hair concealed her face. "Help me," she muttered, her voice barely above a whisper. I hesitated. Something about her felt wrong, an insidious pull that felt all too familiar. "Who are you?" I managed to ask, my voice trembling. She lifted her head, and what I saw sent a jolt of terror through me. Her eyes were hollow, dark like endless pits. "They need you," she said, pointing with a bony finger toward a cluster of trees behind me. "They want you to stay." I turned, and there they were, the children. Not far off, but closer than before, their twisted smiles now stretched wider, grinning as if they had already won. The weight of their gaze felt like chains wrapping around my limbs, locking me in place. I forced myself to look back at the girl, but she was gone. Nothing but a patch of grass remained where she had sat. My breath quickened. I had to get out. I turned to run, the children's laughter echoing again in the distance, a haunting reminder of their presence. But now it felt like I was no longer in control. The ground beneath me began to shift, the stones turning into slick, wet mud, pulling me down as I struggled to break free. I could hear the chanting now, voices rising in a dizzying crescendo. They were calling me, inviting me into their fold. I fought to resist, but it was too late. They were closing in, hands reaching out for me as I stumbled backward, desperate for escape. Then I caught a glimpse of the house again, standing tall against the trees, a foreboding outline against the darkening sky. There was a light in the window flickering like a beacon. As I ran toward it, everything around me faded to black again, but this time it felt different. I braced myself for whatever was waiting on the other side. When I came to, I was on the porch of the house. My palms pressed against the splintered wood, and I struggled to catch my breath. The night air was thick, saturated with fear and something else. Something that felt alive. A wind picked up, swirling bits of dust and debris, almost like a whisper moving through the shadows. I stood up slowly, glancing around. The house loomed above me, dark and uninviting. The flickering light in the window was a promise or a trap, and I had no way of knowing which. I stepped forward, heart hammering against my chest, feeling the pull toward that window. As I reached the door, I hesitated. An old doorknob, tarnished and rusting, greeted my touch. I turned it gently, and the door creaked open with a groan that echoed through the empty halls. Inside, the air was stale, heavy with dust and neglect. It felt different than the outside, more oppressive, as if the walls were closing in. I took a cautious step inside, the floorboards creaking under my weight. Shadows danced in the corners, taunting me with every flicker of the light. I wanted to scream for help, but I clamped my mouth shut, listening closely. The whisper of the wind turned into voices, echoing around me. Children's laughter mingled with quiet sobs. I moved deeper into the house, my eyes darting around, searching for something, anything, that could help me make sense of where I was. The light continued to pulse, guiding me through a narrow hallway. I spotted a mirror on the wall, cracked and faded. My reflection looked strange. I seemed more ghostly than myself. That's when I heard it again, a soft voice. "Stay with us." It was the same voice from before, the same haunting call. But this time, it felt closer, almost beside me. I spun around, expecting to see the girl or the children, but there was nothing. Just the emptiness of the home. I pressed on, pushing through a doorway that led into a dimly lit room. The light danced from an old lantern sitting on a rickety table. Around the room, photos of families stared out at me from dusty frames, their faces obscured by time and shadows. I felt an urge to wipe the dust away to see their eyes, to connect with their stories. But something held me back. Then I saw it. At the back of the room, behind the photographs, was a door, slightly ajar. A draft slipped out, cool and inviting. Something compelled me to approach it, ignoring the dread settling in my stomach. As I reached for the handle, the whisper grew louder, wrapping around me like a shroud. "Stay with us." I froze, feeling the weight of unseen eyes on my back. The laughter rang again, sharp and taunting, echoing off the walls. My heart raced. I had to leave. Just as I turned to escape through the way I came, the door slammed shut behind me. The light flickered, plunging me into darkness. That's when I heard the footsteps. Heavy, deliberate. Someone, or something, was in the house with me. I could feel the presence closing in, just beyond the threshold. My breath hitched as I realized staying was no longer a choice. I needed to find a way out, and fast. But as I moved back towards the door, something blocked my path. I wasn't alone anymore. I stood there frozen. Something loomed just ahead of me, a shape formed from darkness itself. I couldn't make out any features, just a shifting mass that felt like it was watching me, waiting. My instincts screamed at me to run, but my feet felt glued to the floor. Then slowly the figure began to take shape, the edges sharpening as it stepped closer. I could see a shimmer of pale skin under the dim light, a face that twisted between childlike innocence and something far more sinister. In a bare moment of horror, I recognized her, the girl from the whispers. "Why do you want to leave?" she asked, her voice melodic yet chilling. It curled around my ears, filling the room with a strange, unsettling energy. "We only want to play." I backed away involuntarily, my heart racing. I can't stay. I have to go." My voice trembled, a mixture of defiance and fear. Her expression shifted, confusion etching across her delicate features. At that very second, the lantern flickered violently, casting shadows that twisted around the room like fingers reaching for me. Behind her, the hallway darkened, and suddenly I could hear more voices echoing, urgent, frightened. It was a cacophony, that laughter bleeding into cries. "Stay," she insisted again, the words stretching like an echoed plea. I glanced beyond her, searching for another exit. The door I had come through was still closed, the wood solid and unyielding. "Please leave." A new voice cracked through the noise, more desperate than the first. I felt a shiver run down my spine. Had I imagined it? Was there someone else in the house? "Do you want to play too?" The girl's voice dropped to a whisper, dangerously close now. My instinct screamed at me to fight, to push past her, no matter the cost. Without thinking, I turned and bolted for the corner of the room, hoping to evade her grasp. I stumbled over a chair, crashing into a table as the noises crescendoed around me. In that instant of chaos, I dropped to the floor, trying to collect myself, my breath coming out in ragged gasps. "I can't stay," I shouted, and the words felt like a lifeline cast into stormy waters. From behind me I heard a heavy sigh. "You don't understand," the girl said, her tone shifting like the air around me. "You're just as lost as we are." I turned, ready to face whatever came next, but what I saw took my breath away. The walls of the room seemed to ripple, the photographs pulsing as if they were alive, the faces within them now looking at me with pleading eyes. Then everything shifted again. The sound of footsteps grew louder, different now. I wasn't just confronted by the girl. No, there were more. I saw shadowy figures emerging from the corners of the room, all of them watching, waiting. Panic surged through me like a wildfire. I staggered to my feet, desperate for a way out. I had to find an escape before whatever they wanted became my reality. Turning back toward the door, I lunged for it, heart pounding against my chest, only now to find it wide open. An invitation or a trap. Before I could decide, a force brushed past me, sending me crashing to the ground. It was then that I discovered the truth. They wanted me to stay, and now they were not going to let me leave. In that moment, I knew I had to act fast. The game was no longer a choice. I was trapped, and my chance at freedom was slipping away. I scrambled to my feet, adrenaline firing my legs as I raced toward the open door. I could hear whispers trailing behind me, a chorus of voices urging me to stop, to look back. But the chill of that girl's smile haunted me, and I wasn't about to let her draw me into whatever game they were playing. I stumbled into the hallway, the dim light flickering overhead. Pain shot through my shoulder from where I'd hit the floor. I glanced around, decisions flashing in my mind. The hallway branched, left and right, and I had to choose. With dread gnawing at my insides, I veered to the right. The door at the end looked promising, its edges illuminated by a faint glow. As I hurried down the corridor, I heard them getting closer, their laughter floating through the air. My lungs burned, and determination surged within me. Just as I grabbed the handle, a sudden gust of cold air rushed past me. The door swung open on its own. I hesitated, a part of me screaming that this could be a trap, but I was out of options. I ducked inside. The room was even darker than the hallway, the only light coming from a rusted lantern perched on a shelf. Shadows played along the walls, and my heart sank. It was another dead end. I spun around, but there was no way back. They were out there, and they would come looking for me. That's when I saw it. In the corner, draped across a chair, was a child's dress, tattered, faded, and eerily familiar. I took a tentative step closer, the fabric whispering against itself. The very same dress the girl had worn. A jolt of realization ran through me. This was her space. Anger mixed with fear. I was in their world now. "Get out!" I shouted, but my voice echoed back at me, mocking. "Why don't you stay?" A voice crooned, smoother now, mixing with the shadows as another figure glided into view. It was one of the others, their features obscured, but I felt it was a boy, his eyes shining like dark stars. They circled me slowly, growing more confident. "We're all here just waiting for a friend. You have to join." "No, I won't play," I fired back, clenching my fists. It felt like a feeble defiance against forces too powerful to fathom. The boy's smile widened, stretching too far, too wide. "It isn't just a game. We're lonely here." Before I could respond, I caught a flicker of movement from the corner of my eye. The walls whispered, and suddenly, the photographs hung there began to change. Faces I recognized stared back at me, faces of missing people, friends, neighbors, all lost to whatever this place was. My stomach dropped. I didn't belong here. I had to escape, yet the watery fear threatened to swallow me whole. "Please," I begged, "you have to let me go." In that moment, I understood. This was a web, an inescapable trap of twisted desires and hidden secrets. Suddenly, the door behind me slammed shut, sealing away the light. I was surrounded. Then a flicker, a pulse of energy surged through the room. "You're just like us," the girl's voice chimed, playful and sinister all at once. "Join our game, and we can be together forever." Panic seized me again, raw and unyielding. I had to escape, but nothing felt real anymore. I couldn't tell where the shadows ended, and I began. And as hope dimmed, the laughter grew louder, echoing in my mind with a chilling promise that this was far from over. I felt the shadows pressing in on me, smothering my thoughts. I couldn't let them pull me under. With desperation fueling my movements, I dashed toward the back wall, trying to find any escape. The darkness seemed to throb with life, twisting and turning as I felt eyes on me from every angle. They laughed again, a sound that echoed cruelly. "You don't know what you're missing," the boy sang out. "The fun we have, the friends we make." I couldn't let them win. Taking a deep breath, I reached for the lantern. It felt solid, a small comfort in this nightmare. I swung it, illuminating the room's edges. The flickering light cast long shadows, but it also exposed something unnerving. Every corner was filled with remnants, toys, books, and what appeared to be small notes, all crumpled and forgotten. As I bent down to grab one, I recognized the scrawl. It was my friend Emily's handwriting. The note read, "Help me, they won't let me go." My heart raced. I wasn't alone, and she might still be here. "Emily," I called out, my voice stronger this time. It swallowed the laughter momentarily, replacing the haunting sound with silence. "Where are you? Playing another game, maybe?" the girl's voice responded, dripping with that chilling sweetness. I shoved the note in my pocket and glanced around, searching for anything that might tell me where Emily was or how to escape. That's when I noticed a door hidden behind a curtain of shadow, almost blending into the wall. My instinct screamed for me to take the chance. "Run!" I told myself as I bolted toward it, pushing the curtain aside. Just as I reached for the handle, the boy lunged at me, blocking my escape. "You're not going anywhere," he hissed. Fear clawed at my throat. I shoved past him, adrenaline kicking in again. The door creaked open, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling down into darkness. I hesitated, torn between the unknown and the certainty of the other children closing in around me. The laughter resumed, louder this time, like a ghostly echo urging me on. I had to choose. I plunged into the stairwell, heart hammering. Each step down felt like plunging deeper into their world, but I was willing to risk it for any sign of Emily. The air grew colder. I fumbled for the lantern, clinging to it like a lifeline. The light flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. Water dripped somewhere in the distance, punctuating the silence like a heartbeat. Then I heard something. A soft whimper. My heart stopped. It was coming from the bottom of the stairs. "Emily? Is that you?" Silence followed, pulling me in like a tide. I had to move. I forced my legs to descend, each step filled with dread. Suddenly, the lantern sputtered, flaring then dimming, leaving me in near darkness. "Stop," the shadows whispered around me. "You're not allowed to go any further." The weight of their words pressed against me, but I couldn't give in. I reached the bottom step, barely illuminated by the last dying flicker of light. Then everything went dark. The lantern extinguished, and panic surged in my veins. I was enveloped in the void, and something moved in the darkness. It wasn't over. Whatever game they were playing had just taken a new turn, and I was about to find out how deep the rabbit hole truly went. I woke up again, but this time the floor beneath me was cold and damp. Fumbling in the darkness, I realized I was lying on stone rather than the echoing wooden floors of the house. My heart raced, and with it, the memories came rushing back. The laughter, the children, that figure in the shadows. Pressing my palms against the ground, I pushed up, searching for any hint of light. There was a faint glimmer at the far end of the chamber. I shuffled toward it, each breath punctuated by the echo of the whispers that swirled around me. "Join us," they taunted. "Play with us." Their laughter, sinister and intoxicating, clawed at my sanity. As I neared the light, I spotted a small passageway leading out, almost like a tunnel. Though dread gnawed at my insides, I had to move. The closer I got, the more pronounced my surroundings became. Dark stone walls tightly enclosed me, a stark contrast to the airy, ghost-filled hallways of the house. My feet carried me forward, drawn by an instinct to escape whatever nightmare awaited. The passageway twisted like a serpent, and the laughter intensified, a cacophony of delight and despair. It felt as if the very walls were alive, drawing me back in, craving my fear. When I finally emerged from the tunnel, I stumbled into a larger chamber. Its damp, sour air enveloped me, and the dim light illuminated the walls, now marked with children's drawings, monsters, dolls, and eerie smiles capturing moments of joy that twisted my stomach. I recoiled at the realization. Those were their representations, capturing every fleeting happiness twisted into something grotesque. "Come play!" A sing-song voice broke through my thoughts, and I spun around, only to find a cluster of children standing at the chamber's edge, the same ones whose laughter had haunted my dreams. Their faces flickered through varying expressions, joy morphing into menace as they beckoned me closer. "No!" I shouted, my voice breaking. "I want to leave." But they just giggled, a chorus of mocking delight that echoed against the stonework as they advanced. I stumbled backward, searching for an exit, desperate to find the way back to the world above. Then the atmosphere shifted. A deep, resonant hum vibrated through the chamber, a sound unlike anything I had heard before. I turned, spotting that girl, the one who first lured me here. "You need to join us," she murmured, breaking into a smile that sent chills racing down my spine. You could be happy here. I can't be happy trapped like this. My voice resonated against the cold walls. I was fighting against layers of something intangible, darkness that wrapped around my reason. I had to escape, but as I backed toward the passageway, the whispered voices swelled into a frenzy, drowning my thoughts. Suddenly the ground trembled. The very stones seemed to shift, the laughter morphing into angry shouts. The children were restless. You chose the wrong game. The boy from before emerged from the shadows, clutching the doll, its face smeared with dirt and remnants of life. Stay with us. You cannot leave, he cried, the other children echoing him, encircling me like wolves. I fought through the surge of dread, instincts screaming to survive. But in that moment of chaos, the oppressive energy coalesced into clarity. I turned toward the group and shouted, "You're scared! You're all scared!" The laughter faltered, the children pausing for a heartbeat. I could feel their confusion. I was giving voice to something they hadn't considered. It's okay to be scared, I continued, grounding myself. But you don't have to hold on to it forever. Their eyes widened, flickering between mischief and vulnerability. It felt like a chink, not in my armor, but in their obsession with the game that bound them. I took a deep breath, pressing forward. You can be free. You just have to let go. The atmosphere shifted, the laughter dwindling to soft whimpers. I kept moving, hands outstretched, urging them to join me in breaking the cycle. For every step I took toward them, the shadows surrounding us began to recede. Then, without warning, a voice rang out from deep within the chamber, rich and commanding. Enough! They must not escape! The walls pulsed, and a rush of darkness surged toward me. It was now or never. I sprinted back toward the passage, relying on instinct alone. The laughter transformed behind me, becoming a wail of betrayal as I stumbled through the tunnel, clawing my way back towards the light. Bursting out of the tunnel, I felt cool air wash over me again. I emerged into blinding daylight, standing amidst the trees. I had made it, I thought, allowing a breath to escape in relief. But something gripped my heart, a pang of loss. The children. I turned, scanning the woods, half expecting to see them lingering. Yet all was quiet. I felt torn, the weight of their laughter and cries echoing behind me, a reminder of what I had left behind. Though the house stood behind me, silent and still, I took one last look before walking away. I knew I might never return, but the memory of the shadows haunted me still. Driving away, I couldn't help but wonder if they would linger in that house, waiting for their next player, filling it with their laughter. I didn't fully understand what had happened in there, nor could I shake the feeling that it wasn't truly over. I moved to a different city a month later, but even now I sometimes hear laughter in the wind on quiet nights, a chilling reminder that whatever was lost there was never really gone.